Welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So this video here is part 6 on this Murdered LH Torana that we've been doing up. Previous videos have gone through how to mix and match your matte clear to the desired gloss level that you're looking for. Also done rust repairs. We've had a bit of a time-lapse repair and prime video, and we've also gone through and cleared the inside of the panels. Now I do apologize. This video should actually be called number 5 and the previous one should be called number 6. That was just simply because I did have a little bit of time off between editing this and narrating it. I got the edit work done and then just ended up moving on to another project because I couldn't be bothered doing the narration on it. So when I did finally come back to it, I lost track of exactly where I was up to on the job, and I just thought that the previous video where you saw me doing the clear coat on the insides of the panels was the next video in line. However, it was this one, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference at all. The previous one was just spraying the clear coat on the insides of the panels, and this is just going to be a quick mask up and primer work on the body. This is too cool of a car not to finish the video set on it, and now I do have a bit of time off in Thailand. I have committed myself to finishing this project off right up to the finish. Even if some of the longer videos, the bigger painting scenes, I do have to put a little bit of music on towards the end of the video set, I will still continue on with this job. I actually own one of these cars. I've got a red one, 75 LH Torana. It's just a SL, not the SLR. I'm pretty sure this is the body of just an SL as well. Mine's just got a little 173 in it, so it's not the big 5-litre V8, which is preferred by lots of people over here in Australia. So for those who don't know about these were made famous by Peter Brock in the mid-70s, even late 60s. I think they did start making the first of them, and Peter Brock drove them around Bathurst, which is a very famous racetrack, and he used to absolutely kick ass in these things. So big V8s in a small car. I'm sure you guys can fill in the blanks on that one. These Toranas actually do look quite similar to a few of the American cars of the similar era. I've always thought they look a little bit like the Rambler Hornets, but anyone that is from America, I highly do recommend typing into a Google or YouTube search Peter Brock Torana, and you'll probably come up with some really cool videos there. The word Torana is actually an Aboriginal word meaning to fly, and let me tell you now, these things definitely do fly, especially when Peter Brock was behind the wheel going around Mount Panorama. Anyway, enough about that. We'll continue on with the job. So obviously I did all of my body filler repairs. I like to finish them off with 180 grit, no coarser than 180 grit before priming if you are going over old paint and doing filler repairs over old paint. So 180 grit, and then go around all those edges with 320 grit just by hand on one of those softback sanding sponges. I'd prefer to do that than use a piece of red Scotch Brite, because red Scotchy kind of just really goes over the top of the old paint. It won't actually break into it and expose the fresh paint underneath. Also removing all of the orange peel underneath. So obviously once I got it all prepped up, gave it a really good blow off, got it in the booth, and then did the masking as you see me doing here. I did not include the entire clip of masking because it probably would have gone for 30 to 40 minutes just for masking the body of the car itself. So I just included a little bit just to give you an idea of how I do it. Now some of these videos do repeat themselves because at the end of the day, spray painting or any job is a repetitive task. I see it as much as anything as documenting my personal career and documenting the work that I have done on a lot of these awesome old cars. Even just for my personal reference, I think it's cool to be able to go back and watch some of these videos a year or two later down the track, and especially when I'm older, it'll be really cool to be able to look back on some of these videos. It's also cool to be able to share my love of this trade with the world. I've met lots of really cool people and opened my eyes up to the world of refinishing. I never could have guessed that less than 2 years into my YouTube career that I would have had 4 million views and 22,000+ subscribers, and being able to have the amount of reach that I have had. I am sometimes a little bit amazed at how big I have got. But I do love this trade, and I also do my best to share my knowledge of the trade with other people. I believe I'm not arrogant, and I just tell it like it is. If this is how we do it, well then that's how I'm going to tell you, because at the end of the day, I've got nothing to prove to you guys. I'm just sharing what I do. I think that, along with the hours and hours of time and effort I do spend on making these videos, is a big part of the reason that I have got so popular over such a short amount of time. Anyway, continuing on with with the job, you may have noticed that the primer I was using is the Concept HS primer, and I have not got a bad thing at all to say about this primer. The price is good, it stands well, and as far as shrink back goes, it's actually usually quite good as long as you make sure that it is baked out before you paint over it. So that's no different than any primer, to be honest. If you were to misuse the best primer on the market, you would still get shrink back with it. Doesn't matter how good or bad the primer is, you've still got to use it correctly. So what I like to do when I'm doing jobs like this is to leave that primer just a little bit thicker on the first coat or two, even depending on how it's going on, as long as you can still get enough out. Because if you put too much thinners in it for your first couple of coats, there's a couple of things that will arise. Basically, more chance of that thinners eating into the old paint, because as you notice, this has got a lot of old paint on there, so more chance of having shrink back, which I was talking about before. And also you won't get the build, so being that you've left it thick, you're going to get it on really nice and heavy on those first couple of coats to get some build up. But this very first coat, you don't want to put that one on too heavy either, because that also will create shrink. So you get that first coat on, leave that for at least 10 minutes or 5 minutes again, depending on the temperature, and then you can put your second and third coats on really nice and heavy. So I like to leave those first two coats that little bit thicker, then thin it out maybe an extra 5 or 10% to get your flow, and it'll also make it easier to sand. Sometimes I'll even turn that pressure up by an extra 4 or 5 psi on the last coat as well. So for the first couple of coats, I'm just running it on about 15 psi. Then for the last couple of coats, I jacked it up to 20. That enables it to flow out a little bit more, and it leaves less orange peel. You also may have noticed that I'm using the Airgunsa AZ3 HTE2 with a 1.8mm fluid tip on it. I haven't got much bad to say about this gun. I've never used it with the 1.3mm for clear over base. However, I would imagine it would be pretty good. I have heard a few reviews from other people saying that it's quite good for clear over base. Maybe one day I will get my hands on a 1.3mm setup for it and see how it goes and make a review for you guys. But anyway, I did not include the entire primer stage for this car. The video would have just got a little bit too long, and I decided to leave it there. So that's after the 4 coats. You can see it's got a nice amount of primer on there, but it's not too thick and heavy, so it's going to take forever and ever to block down. Stay tuned for the next video. We will be blocking the car down and then getting the insides of the car painted. Hope you have enjoyed watching this video. Make sure you do go and check out the gunman.net.au. I've been flat out over there. Now you've seen this video, get out there and paint some shit. Thanks for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.